Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new KBB podcast, From the Tap. Today's topic is on what's new and exciting with outdoor living, as we know this concept has become even more popular these days. My guest today is John McClain, principal designer at John McClain Design. With locations in LA and Orlando, John is no stranger to outdoor projects. Welcome, John, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Chelsea. Thanks for having me. I wore my outdoor flowery shirt for you today.
Oh, great. Yeah, I did too.
Yes, we're all matching. It's perfect.
So let's start out with you telling me a little bit about you and your firm and why this topic is near and dear to you.
Yeah, so as you said, we are a residential design firm. We have offices in Florida, and we really service all of Florida. We're located right in the middle of the state in Florida, but we service anywhere from Miami all the way to North Florida. And California, pretty much the same, where our office is in Los Angeles, where I am, and then we service all the surrounding areas, Orange County, even farther north than LA. So it's interesting that we're on both coasts because we sort of get a lot of similarities, but also some differences too, which we'll talk about today. But it's as everyone else, business has been really good for the past year and a half, 2 years, and we're just trying to keep our head above water with the work.
Yeah, I imagine. So the concept of outdoor living has pretty much exploded after the last year or so. Do you think this will be here to stay from now on, or was this short-lived because of the pandemic?
I think it obviously was spurred by the pandemic, but I think it's here to stay. We've heard this before. Home has an entirely new meaning now. Home means so much more than just a place to come at the end of the day because we're there pretty much all the time. And I think that has opened people up to really wanting to understand more about how their home could support them and how their home could really take away or add to all these things that were taken away, like the gym and, movie theaters and all these things. And I think too, we're on guard a little bit too. We're like COVID happened and we're all like, oh my gosh, did not see that coming. Where was that? I had no idea. But I think that we're on guard to kind of keep our homes all encompassing and to make us really able to enjoy all aspects of it, because we are afraid, I think deep down too, that those things could be taken away again, and we want our home ready to support us. And that's what most of our clients have been doing lately, is making their home, designing it in a way to support them in so many different ways.
So true. So can you talk a little bit about some of the new and innovative ways people are using their outdoor spaces?
Yes, it's so many different ways. We've done everything from, let me say this. A lot of clients come to us with an inspiration. So they'll say, oh, I saw this, I heard about that or whatever. And then they decided that they can actually find the spot to do it in their home. And they come to us to figure that out. But we have done everything from outdoor gyms to full kitchens. And I don't mean just a small little tucked away few things. I'm talking like the full enchilada. Because that's the other thing too. They're really wanting all the luxuries that they have inside, outside. We have clients who get inspired by their travels. We have clients who, just see things that other neighbors may have and they want to bring that into their home. But everything from a backyard pod, so like a reading pod. We've had that request recently for someone to put an actual separate structure in the rear of their home. Which is, something a little different, especially for people who don't have a lot of space. But really, it's mostly focusing on how to entertain, how to support their families, how to have a good time outside, and all the things that happen with that, from swimming pools to kitchens to workout areas to hot tubs to saunas even. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff is happening.
I love the idea of a reading pod. I need that.
She did too, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was more about putting her children in there for homework too. She called it a reading pod, but I think it was more going to be a homework isolation booth.
Oh, that's awesome. That is hilarious. So you also shared with me in our preliminary discussions that cool project with the rooftop modeled after the Tokyo Hotel.
Yeah, so like I said, they come to us, clients do, with lots of inspo, and it's not just things that they might see in a magazine or on a website. It's also their travels. When we couldn't travel and when we were forced to be at home, where does our mind go? Back to these fabulous trips that we took, all these great places that we experienced, and what made those places so good. So we had a client very recently, they came to us and their inspiration was a penthouse that they had stayed in Tokyo. We should all be so lucky, right? to have that as our inspiration. So I asked, of course, we did our typical questionnaire, asking so many questions. And what it really came down to was a lot of specific things that they wanted. So for instance, the hot tub was in a certain portion of the outdoor living space, the kitchen, there was a bar area, a fireplace, there was a place to sunbathe. All these things were there. But when I really boiled it down, it was what feeling that penthouse patio gave them. And that's what they really wanted to take away to be from that. All the other things were definitely part of the calculation, but they really wanted to walk out onto this rooftop deck and have that same sensation that they had when they were in their Tokyo penthouse.
That sounds incredible.
I know.
So we talked a little bit before about what some of the differences are with what clients are asking for in Florida versus California.
Yeah, it's similarities, but also some pretty good differences. So in Florida, it tends to be directly family oriented. So for instance, they want, if they don't have a pool, they want a pool. They want a place for their family to watch movies, that sort of thing. They want a kitchen, but not so much to the level that Los Angeles has. In LA, it's more of how can I entertain, and then also, as a side note, my family will be happy with it as well, because I think everyone was looking towards the end of the pandemic and things opening back up and having parties to attend. So LA was more of like pizza ovens and larger areas that we could really have a lot of opportunities to expand in. And Florida was more of like, I have 3 kids. They need time to go outside. I want them to be happy. I want to support them. I want to have movie night, all those things. So it was more of like family versus the LA vibe of entertainment. If I were to put a button on it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Would you say homeowners are wanting to invest more money in their outdoor spaces? Is budget a factor, would you say? They're
definitely wanting to spend more on their outdoor spaces. I find it now that the conversations used to primarily be talking about interior spaces. Now it's a 50-50 split, frankly, between indoors and outdoors. And for us, budget has not really been a big issue with people. They really are ready to spend the money on it. I think that the money that we've all saved from not traveling and not going out and not having dinner out and all those things has just been kind of put into a nest egg, and people are ready to spend that money on their homes. And the outdoor space has been a huge part of that. And for us, again, I can't speak for all designers. For us, the budget has been really, really good for the outdoor spaces. We really haven't had to compromise hardly anything as far as the design goes.
What about creating an outdoor space with limited square footage? How do you determine what is most important to include in a small footprint?
Well, it's just like an indoor space. So if we're designing a small home or a small apartment or condo, then we have to prioritize. We have to prioritize what will fit into that space. A lot of things become multifunctional. So for instance, if someone does want a workout area, maybe that area can be rolled up somehow, stored away into a cabinet, and then that becomes a place to have dinner at night as well. So if someone's doing yoga and having dinner in the same spot, there has to be a way to make that work. So it really becomes just prioritizing what's most important. So a lot of clients, for instance, will say, I have to have this size of a kitchen outdoors. I have to have this much counter space. I need this refrigerator. I need all these things happening. But this part isn't so important to me, so I will pull back on that, and then we'll figure out a way to sort of multitask the space to take care of those things. And when you really get down to it with clients, they can prioritize really quickly, and it's not always about money. Sometimes it's about how they really want to use the space. And so if someone cooks a lot, they're going to definitely prioritize a larger outdoor kitchen with a grill and cooktop and sinks and all those things, refrigeration, ice maker, versus all the other things that could happen in that space.
Right. Can you share with us some ways to design outdoor spaces so clients can enjoy those all year long in maybe either cold or hot climates?
For us, we're so lucky that we have both coasts covered. So it's like we haven't had a lot of those, like my designer friends in the Northeast. I feel a little differently, and I'm sure they feel a little differently about design there because they do have to address those things. But For us, it's been mostly in Florida. It has been, again, swimming pools. Everyone has wanted a swimming pool. We don't really, of course, design the pools. We have aspects of the design where we want that to be incorporated into the landscape of the backyard, or if we're going to add a pergola, if we're going to do any hardscapes, we want to be a part of that. But in Florida, it's been definitely swimming pools. And the wait for swimming pools these days is 6 to 8 months. It's ridiculous, the wait for swimming pools. Yeah. So a lot of clients are fine. They're going on that wait list. But in both states that we work in, there's always a few months where it's cold. So I would encourage everyone to think about outdoor heating. And it doesn't need to necessarily be the simple portable models. We do a lot of in-ceiling heaters that are recessed into the ceiling, some are that are mounted to the walls. There's also the beautiful portable ones. We have a fabulous one that we just put in for a client, and I think it's maybe 9 or 10 feet tall, and it replicates an actual table lamp, but it's an actual heater, and the base lights up, and the heat comes out from the top of that. And then we have another small portable ones that we use. Misting systems are also fun to use, and those are really easy to adapt. Those are also available in portable models as well.
Oh, that mister. I want that with my reading pod.
then you're set, right?
Yeah. I would just be outside from now on.
Let's take shifts. I want shift B at least.
Yeah, for sure. Regarding wellness, I've heard of a lot of projects that are including ways for clients to grow their own fruits and veggies, but during our conversations, you said you have not really been seeing this?
Again, we haven't been seeing that. Most of our clients that we have been designing for have been high-end luxury clients. And I don't mean that to discount any of these smaller ones. It's just that these are the clients that we have taken on during this time. So for them, convenience, luxury, all those things were way more important. They don't really grow. The clients that we have been working for lately don't really grow their own vegetables. They'll just have them delivered and then, have someone make them for them. So, but I have seen lovely models of those where people could use on a patio, they have an actual in-ground garden. And so I think it just comes down to the priorities that people have for those things. But I personally haven't seen that a lot within our firm.
So I'm going to move on and talk a little bit about how do you make sure the indoors and outdoors complement one another in terms of design? I would think that's important.
It's critical. It's very critical. Even if a client doesn't approach the outdoor space immediately with us during the consultation, or if that's something that doesn't happen to be a priority, I always keep that in the back of my mind. So open floor plans are obviously here to stay. There's lots of those homes that have those. So continuity from living room to dining room, and then to kitchen, and then to the outdoor space is really important. And I do that via the same things I use interiors, through finishes, through colors, through materials. I like to mix woods and metals and stone and all of these things. And I just kind of carry that through to the outside, obviously changing the type of products that we use in those spaces because it is an outdoor space, but the feel and the look, if you're looking from a family room to an outdoor dining area, it's going to feel very, very cohesive. And that's really important that continues, because most of the homes that we're working on now have the full stacked back doors. So everything opens up one space to the other. When you're having family or even a party, you want that continuity. So the flow should happen physically and visibly as well. Okay.
So what kinds of professionals do you need to work with to create these outdoor spaces? I would assume it kind of differs from those you need on the interior. And can you also talk about when it becomes necessary to bring in these other experts?
Yeah, I always hire people smarter than me, including my own employees. So I never pretend that I know everything. I always want to give the best service to our clients. So if it's something that we're not completely familiar with, and, to be frank with you, the outdoor space, we had limited knowledge of that in a smaller scale prior to the pandemic. And now that the pandemic is over, I feel like we could design any hotel outdoor space ever, because we just really have that experience with it now. We work with a lot of the same professionals as the interiors, but we have to make sure that they understand what we're trying to accomplish outdoors. So the plumber needs to understand, the climate is really important in both places that we're designing in, and that anyone is designing in. Consider the climate, because that's going to affect all of the materials that you use, all of the way that the plumber does his job, the electrician, anything that happens out there, they need to be aware of the possible fluctuations in climate. We like to partner with outdoor kitchen companies because I feel like they do have a much, much better understanding, much the same way that designers partner with interior kitchen companies as well, kitchen cabinetry companies. So we're going to make sure that the cabinetry is going to be durable. The finish is going to be exactly what the client wanted. And we don't have to stick, by the way, to just the plain old stainless steel anymore. That was something that opened my eyes up. There's so many variations in the colors and the different materials that you can use outdoors. We have our stone people, our stone installers are really important because they need to understand, is this going to be near heat? Is this going to be exposed to the sun? So I rely on all those people to really come into play. And I bring them in, personally, I bring them in before the project starts to kind of give a nice overview of what we're trying to accomplish. And I do this before we even meet with the client because I want to have the best foot forward for our clients. And then I bring them in about midways and to do their job. And then I bring them in toward the end as well to do a recap to make sure everything was worked out well.
What about landscape architects or designers? I'm assuming you have to work with them in these projects as well.
Yeah, and I love it. I love all outdoor spaces are fun. Landscaping has always been something that we have always consulted with clients on, and we've always given our advice because we're really good at understanding where the pathways should go, where the traffic paths should go. Hardscapes, I love designing that. I cannot tell you which flower to put in what area because I would kill it. But I know if I want it to be a large bush, I know if I want it to be a tree that's flowering, I know what I'm looking for. I just leave it up to the landscape designer and the architect to let me know what would work best there. But yes, we recently renovated the client's entire rear of their home and the entire front yard of their home. And we came with our ideas and the landscape designer and architect pulled that together for us. And we met throughout the process to make sure everything, honestly, from street side to the gates that were in front of the home, to the landscaping, all the way to the rear, to pergolas and pools and faux turf and all those things we did.
Okay, going to pivot over to materials that you mentioned. In terms of those, are there specific characteristics they need to have to stand up to the outdoors? And I assume so. What surfaces and finishes work well outside?
Yeah, there's so many. And there's so many that honestly surprised me, not only in the type of material, but the look of them. If I think back to when we started designing outdoor furniture a lot for clients prior to the pandemic, and the hand and the feel of outdoor fabrics now has really, really changed to where it has this beautiful durability, but it has the hand and the feel of something that could go interior. So we've actually done that. We've started putting some exterior fabrics interiors because of the durability of them and the fact that no one can tell the difference. Same way with outdoor furnishings and outdoor products. So climate, again, plays a really big part of that. You want to understand what the fluctuations in temperature are going to be. Porcelain I'm loving it for outdoor spaces. We're using that for all of our countertops. Companies, there's lots of brand names out there, but basically I'm just speaking about the large porcelain slabs that come under many different brands that offer those. We love that for all of the bar areas, any type of kitchen scenarios. We'll do even a nice chunky buildup on it so that it looks much like an interior kitchen when the countertop is actually installed, but it has this durability that can withstand all temperatures. Nothing will stain it. They can use it entirely. Again, back to the actual kitchen itself, the materials in the kitchen, the stainless steel, I was really amazed at, number one, the different color variations, but also just the different styles. It doesn't have to be these ugly little boxes that we just kind of, stuck outdoors anymore. There really are so many variations in the styles of the cabinetry as well. Of course, lighting is essential in any room, and I love exterior lighting as well as I do interior lighting. It's kind of my thing. I would be a light hoarder if I could. I would just buy every light in the world and just leave them in my garage because they're so beautiful. But that's something that I would tell everyone to not neglect, the fact that it doesn't have to just be the landscape lighting in your landscaping. We do up lighting on trees. We just recently hung various pendants from a massive oak tree in a client's backyard. So that's really critical too. And of course, those lighting specifications have to be a lot different. And something that we found out is that also not just the lighting itself, but the electrician has to understand when he's installing this lighting that it is outdoors, and he needs to come with the proper equipment and the proper pieces to install that so that they're watertight.
What about appliances and fixtures? Are clients asking for the same types of things they would ask for inside, and do those have to perform differently?
They are asking for the same thing, and not only the same pieces. So they want all the interior things that are in their interior kitchens. They want sometimes the same brands too, because they're familiar with that particular brand. So they want us to find out, does this brand also offer an outdoor version? Little things like not only a refrigerator, but an ice maker has been proven to be important for a lot of clients when they're entertaining. Mm-hmm. And they also want the feeling to be the same. So they want that same, let's say it's industrial in their interior kitchen, they want that same industrial feeling on their appliances outdoors as well. And of course, quartz doesn't perform as well on an exterior. So we will try to mimic the look. If it's adjacent to their kitchen, we'll try to mimic the look of their quartz or their marble on their kitchen countertops with a suitable outdoor porcelain version for their outdoor spaces. So yeah, they do want all of the above on the exterior, and for the most part, we've been able to give it to them. I haven't had to say no to hardly anything.
Oh, that's awesome. So do you think our industry's kitchen and bath brands are innovating and offering more options enough to meet this huge need for outdoor spaces?
Yes, yes, and yes. And I think that it's only going to continue. I love perusing your magazine, for instance, just to find out all the new innovative things that are happening. And it seems like every single issue, every single time I look at it, it's something new and something different that I wasn't aware of, which is wonderful for me. What I would encourage designers and consumers too, honestly, is to educate yourself. You're probably not aware of what is available from each brand that's even out there. So contact your rep, contact the company directly, ask them what they've been working on as far as outdoor spaces. Maybe they have something that's upcoming that would work out perfectly for the timing of your project. But yes, I think brands are definitely evolving. They're definitely focusing on these outdoor spaces. And I think too, like I said, with the furniture, I think some of those things that they're designing specifically for outdoors could also work indoors, because it's just visibly the difference is not that much of a stark difference.
So this is just a silly question that I want to add. I don't understand the concept of the 3-season room and want to know why all 4 seasons aren't addressed.
Let's put our foot down. Let's call our officials on this. They are, and they could be, if the room was built to those standards. So I think that if we think about a 3-season room, that's going to be the warmer seasons of the year, not winter. If a room is built to handle the winter months when it can be insulated and the windows are the right type of windows, then it can be a 4-season room. So this just goes back to hiring a designer who knows what they're doing. And then we can lead clients along the way to say, okay, when do you want to use this space? You're going to use this. You're in, northern New York, and you're wanting to use this in December, then we're probably going to have to adapt this to be an actual 4-season room and insulate it, add the right windows, make sure that it's heated and cooled, all those things. So it can be done. It just comes back to good planning.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So my last question is, after all this, can you tell us about your own outdoor space?
Yes, I can. So I, like lots of people during the pandemic, realized that I needed space for my husband. So we moved into a new home, is my point. I love him, but we both work from home, and I'm sure many people have had the same thing. So we were both working from home, and we're like, okay, we need a bigger house. So bigger house for us in Los Angeles was a little more difficult than some parts of the country, because not only availability, but pricing, yada, yada, yada. So the home that we chose has great interior space, but the neighborhood we wanted it to be in and the location, we could not find something with the right amount of outdoor space. And frankly, I don't love like spending a lot of time manicuring and taking care of outdoor spaces. That's just not my thing. I'll design it all day for clients, and it's very lucrative and it's a great part of our business and I will take it all day long. But for me, I just wanted a certain amount of space. So, which brings in a whole other list of issues, right? So if I want all the bells and whistles, it kind of comes back to what we talked about earlier with prioritizing, making sure that things get done and that I want to be done out there. So what I've done is this: I've sort of zoned my living spaces off. I have a small little outdoor front yard that's literally on ground level. I have a patio that's off of my living room that's smaller-ish, and then I have a larger patio off of a loft area. So I designed them like this. So the front yard is sort of like lounging, relaxing. It has grass, it has lighting, it has, beautiful flowers and shrubbery. The one off of the living room, I'm designing to be more of like a small, because the kitchen is nearby too, a very small kitchen, very small, like minimal, only what I need: grill, cooktop, refrigerator, boom, done. And then the one on the very top, I'm designing to be sort of this fun, loungy, relaxing, cool, funky area. So it's going to be a place where people end up after they have a cocktail and, hang out. So I have a fire pit that I'm using for heat when we need it. I have a covering that I'm installing, but I'm doing a beautiful sofa that looks like it's like an outdoor sofa, but it looks like an indoor sofa. So there's this like blur between the indoors and outdoors. And there'll be a bar cart, because I have to have a bar cart on any place that I entertain outdoors. So those are my priorities for my outdoor spaces. And I just kind of took it to the idea of what I do for a client, and by zoning it off, and for me, zoning those spaces out into the 3 different distinct usages made it more usable for us.
Yeah, I can't wait to come over and see the loungy spot.
That's going to be the good one.
Sounds like it. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today, John. I'm sure that our listeners and viewers have gotten a lot of great information on how to achieve successful outdoor projects, which just seem to be just gaining in popularity.
Get outside and play in the dirt.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chelsea. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. Take care.